Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickel is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickel.
Welcome to the Psychic Hour, everybody. Hello. Gosh, we had a week break, and we're back in action. There was a station vacation on WLTK-DB, and it's always needed. We always need a vacation. We always need a rest. We always need tranquility. That's so important for what we do within this work. Rest is imperative. It really is. So we're back, and hello everybody. Welcome Sharon. We'll be having and everyone else coming in. We'll be having Garz Chan on the show today, and she is a healer of all sorts. She has so many modalities under her belt. Wow. We're gonna list them and we're gonna learn from her what her specialties are. And she just is really an epitome of someone who embodies their passion, studying, learning, offering classes, sharing the knowledge. And she's just a really wonderful person. I have a chance to meet her over the years. So I'm looking forward to seeing Garz and talking with her. And towards the end of the show, like the last 15 minutes, we always take questions. So if you have a question about healing, pop it down, and Garz and I will talk about it. And it's really a wonderful way to interact. And also, these are experts on the show. Like, these are people who have devoted their life to this work, like for 10, 20 years plus. And thousands of people see these people. They're wonderful at what they do. So I encourage you to always take advantage of communicating with the guests, asking questions of the guests. We're really fortunate to have wonderful people on the show. So the topic of the day, because we always start with one before we have our guest in, I was really thinking a lot about this week about vibration. And yeah, the word itself is very multifaceted, but it always launches me into a subject I want to talk about. Words are fun like that. They're like stepping stones. And the word of vibration made me really think about like the state of the world. And I think, a lot of people are really stressed out. Sometimes people have knowledge of astrology and they, connect that to Mercury's in retrograde. That's been talked a lot about. Or certain things going on with the sun, like solar flares, or, we're in these different cycles of the world energy. And, it's fascinating to talk about that, but it's also just like a fact that I think most of us are stressed. And what I do when I'm stressed is I really have to maintain my vibration. And sometimes I rise to the occasion. Sometimes, I fall to the occasion. And the number one thing that I do that really helps lift me up is when, let's say, I have more stress in my life, whether it's relationships, family, friends, anything, health. I start going to some spiritual classes, whether they're local, online, whether they're taught by someone I really respect. I have to be in vibe of the class. I have to say, wow, this class looks great. It's going to lift my vibration. And what happens is I start to sync with the intention of the class. And suddenly my worries, my fears, my anxieties, my stresses, they start lessening and my vibration starts matching that of the class, the intention of the class. And not only do, I start to expand and to accept that knowledge and wisdom into my life, but I do that amongst my stress. So it makes me more flexible and fluid in my human skin. As I'm stressed out and growing and learning, I'm still ascending and expanding. So it lets me be my multifaceted um self, it lets me shine, as well as parts of me, are awakening from my challenges. So I do think, like, certain times of the year, I am more prone to going to classes. And we're all students and teachers. Like, I just don't understand sometimes. Sometimes I do. I mean, I think sometimes, like, if you are advanced in certain classes, you're just like, why would I take this? Why would I do this? And I've learned the answer is the energy. It's the vibration. Honestly, like, at beautiful, beautiful workshops, especially if there's a lot of people there and it's led the vibration is led by a wonderful team or a teacher, the energy is indescribable. It really is. It's just a collection of good-hearted people for a good intention. That's healing. That is healing. And when you have healing energy with you, I mean, miracles are abound. And you have ahas, you have epiphanies, you're jiving, you're vibing, all that wonderful stuff is happening. And just it changes your life. It changes your life. Yes, it accelerates you to, like, where you're going. If you think you're stuck, yeah, that does happen. But those stresses, you look at them with a different perspective. Like, that's the cool thing. Like, that's the thing about, like, spirituality. I think, like, when you have a aha moment, or you're in an environment that's just so positive and loving, what happens is, that magical word, you expand. And suddenly you're not the heaviness of your body. Suddenly you're not in the stress of what's in front of you. Suddenly you are not controlled or reactive or activated by your emotions. You rise, you float, you expand, and you go, "Oh wow, I see this from a different perspective." And yeah, I'm going to choose something different. So it's beautifully healing. Um I'm doing a class, for instance, to share with what I'm doing, what I'm up to. And I think I'm gonna start, like, popping down the classes, like, that I take, and, like, give shout outs to people, because, like, in the past I was like, you know, but I really think, like, it's important to encourage us getting out and doing activities like that are from our heart, and just share all the wonderful resources out there. Um because we are all students. Even if we're teachers, we are all students. And I love simple classes and I love advanced classes. I'm telling you, like, I love the back to basics vibe. I totally do, cuz I go, "Uh-huh." Cuz, like, how can I put it? In order for something to be a quality basic, it has to have a fundamental truth. It has to have a fundamental truth. It has to have something poignant to uphold its foundation. So some of the most basic classes, if they're taught well, sometimes I'm in basic classes. I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes I'm in basic classes and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? You know what I mean? And sometimes I'm in advanced classes. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, believe me, we've all been there. But they have to have these beautiful truths to them. They really, really do. And I love hearing, these advanced quality teachers just talk about, the fundamental concepts of what it means to be a medium. Not just the definition, but, like, in their experience, like, how they sit in the power, their tranquility, where their focus is, how they let go, how they bring the love of a mother, the father. They all describe it differently. And you go, light bulb, light bulb, light bulb. And who wouldn't want to be in the energy of, some beautiful teacher's genius, where you go, ah, That's why you rock, because you figured it out like that. Okay, very cool. Or like not even a cerebral thing, like, oh gosh, this energy feels so good. Let me align myself there. And and this all comes back to service. I mean, like, this is why spirituality is so cool and spiritual development is so cool, because this interest that we have, it makes us feel good. And this interest that we have, it makes the world a better place. It makes us better. And this interest that we have, it's literally rooted in service. So it's like a win, 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 win. If your life is going topsy-turvy, then change your vibration. And if you're having a hard time doing it, get out on the online world, in the physical world, and start raising your vibration with others. And it is truly beautifully changing. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? We're going to go to break. We'll be back. Okay. All right. So we got to get Garz, and having some technical difficulties with that. And maybe I can redo my talk if that was muted. No worries. It's always fun. It's a 9:14. It's an attitude day of 5. That's always fun. That means there's something surprising that you wouldn't expect. Oh, all right. Oh, we have excellent. Let's see. Let me just check in. Todd, do you want to go to break for a moment and then we will get the interview started? Yep. Todd? Yep, I'm all set.
This is WLTK-DB Talk Radio.
Come see our new station shop for some amazing top quality merchandise. There is something for everyone, like blankets, electronics, clothing, and much more. Head on over to WLTK-DB.com and click shop to show your support by sporting our logo. The WLTK-DB Station Shop at WLTK-DB.com. Paranormal talk is our business, and business is good. Want to see your video here? Sponsor WLTK-DB Talk Radio and watch us make that happen. With your paid sponsorship of $80, you receive a professional produced audio, video, and banner placement on our station. Not only does your sponsorship air during our live shows, but also replayed on our podcast and heard by hundreds of like-minded people. Visit WLTK-DB.com to get started and find out just how hard we work to get you noticed.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Psychic Hour. Hello, we're going to bring in our guest, Garz Chan, and give her a warm introduction. Hello, Garz. I'm going to let people know about who you are. And I want to share that Garz Chan is an energetic healer and creator of Alchemist Arts Healing. She works with Chinese energy healing, Kundalini Yoga and Activation, DNA Theta Healing, NLP, light language, Akashic Records, and many more styles and techniques of energetic connection that she shares and teaches beautifully with others. Welcome, Garz.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me on.
It's great to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm trying my best to stay cool.
Oh yes,
Melting.
Oh yes. Is it like blazing in LA? Are you in LA?
Yeah. Where are you?
Orange County.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm in LA.
It's cool here for some weird reason. I'm very happy of that because yes, we've been trying to get the air conditioning fixed over here, and I'm on the second floor. So when it gets hot, it gets hot. I understand. I really do. I like how your room's a blank canvas. Mine looks like a blank canvas too, as well, with like a pop of color. And then I have like a secret bookshelf with all these beautiful crystals and books back there.
Nice.
Do you have any lovely treasures around you too as well?
I also have crystals. Yes.
Yes. What is I wanna dive right in. So you have so many different modalities under your belts. Like you're an avid learner, so very passionate. What got you started? Was it when you were young you were interested in healing? Was there a turning point within your life where you're just like, okay, this makes me feel alive. This is what I'm here to do. I want to see every angle of this. This is my passion. How did it start, or what was that turning point?
Yeah. I would say when I was really young, I thought everyone was a healer because my family watched these like Hong Kong movies where people flew around in flowy dresses and they flew from trees to trees and they did like martial arts and they were kung fu masters and they could heal people and freeze people. So they didn't tell me, my family didn't tell me this is not real. It's make-believe. They're actors, they're on the set, So I, for a long time, thought that that's what we all have the ability to do that. And then, of course, I much later realized, no, we don't have the ability to do that. We can't physically fly. But my granddad was able to heal me with just a touch of his palm. And
Wow.
I would, if I had a sore throat, if my eye was hurting, if I had a headache, if I had a stomach ache, he would just touch me with his palm and he would just get rid of the pain within a few minutes. So again, I thought maybe everyone has a family member who can do this, But I spent my teenage years like most teenagers, and I just try to shove it out the way, because I wanted to live a teenage life like everyone else and get caught up in the whole teenage scene. And then it wasn't until my son was born, he's 15 now, but when he was born that first year, he got really sick. And then I ended up seeing a healer who healed my son within 24 hours. And he convinced me that I was able to do this kind of work. I didn't believe him and I didn't have any interest consciously, but my mum paid for me. She gifted me the workshop as a birthday present. And I went and haven't stopped since.
Wow. So did the healer, when he was like, you can do this too, is he like, you have the energy for it? Or Like, what did he say to convince you, or was he just like, I know you can do it?
Well, I was very of course I thanked him profusely for working on my son, and I was telling him, oh, you're like a Jedi master, you're amazing, you know. I was just like gushing, and he just kind of like shrugged it off, and he said, yeah, it's easy what I do, like you could do this. And I was like, no. And he said, yeah, you could do this, you could do this. And I was like, no. And I think what I really liked about him was that he was just very frank and very down to earth and very no frills, you know. And he just made it seem like it was just so simple. So he didn't have to try very hard to enroll me. I mean, I didn't believe at the time that I could do what he could do. And then I told my mum about it. She was visiting from England, and then she said, I think you should do it. She was like, okay.
Yeah, you gotta trust mom, right?
Yeah.
With your grandfather, so like as you talk, I go, ooh, your grandfather, like he had a natural healing ability. Did he like study, or was this something he found just by his own curiosity? What's your grandfather's story with his abilities?
Um, my grandfather never really talked about his abilities or his life or his history, his childhood. I just know that my granddad wrote calligraphy every day. He practiced Tai Chi every day. He would feed his goldfish. He would spout Chinese proverbs, and he made his own healing ointments and oils, and he grew his own fruits and vegetables. And much later on, I was told that my granddad was a Wing Chun master, but he didn't talk about that. He didn't, tell us about these things. But I do remember one time he said, I can't remember what we were talking about, but he said something about, in the Western world, everyone wants certificates, right? It's about about the belt system. You have to be a black belt to get respect and to gain respect. And then you get the recognition. And he said a true martial artist recognizes that this is just a way of life, and everything about martial arts is a way of life. He said it's not about a belt, it's not about a certificate, you know. And he was really passionate about education. He always said that because he was a survivor of the Japanese occupation, and he said that they can take anything away from you, but they cannot take away your education. Now, I was a terrible student. I was not very academic, but I feel like I've made up for it because since I've started learning energy healing, I feel like, wow, finally there's stuff that I feel really passionate about, and this stuff excites me, and this is fun for me. I love learning different modalities, and it's like I'm making up for, lost time.
Yeah, it comes like full circle. I think like, there's things that call to us, and sometimes early in our life, what we think we should do and be, it just didn't call to us. But this like calls to you like 1,000 suns.
Yeah, I guess so.
I love the variety that you have within your life of different techniques you can pull from. When you are healing somebody, when you are assessing someone's energy, what do you find yourself pulling from certain modalities more often than others?
Yeah, I do tend to use the Chinese energy healing more than the others. But I do want to say that, I have studied over 20 different modalities, and I don't believe that any one modality is the magic bullet. Like they all have their own strengths and weaknesses and blind spots. But I do tend to use Chinese energy healing more so than anything else. So I combine that with Akashic Records, but I don't tell the client, hey, I'm going into Akashic Records, right? because the Chinese energy healing is kind of like delving into the Akashic Records, but the intention is you're dropping into the energy field to find the information. It's kind of the same thing, you know, like dropping into your energy field to find the information, or I can drop into the Akashic Records. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same information. And then I also combine that with psychic surgery as well. But that, I mean, I just feel like Chinese energy healing has just covers so much. But then, yes, I pepper it with a bunch of other things. And then this week, I just started like projecting symbols, like Reiki symbols or IET symbols, or whatever kind of like symbols into people as well. So I just mix it up. Depends on the person, you know.
I really believe that. Yeah, it depends on the person. Sometimes you are inspired to do things you never thought about, right? Like in that moment, because that's what that energy likes that you're working with at that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, inspire, because I find that when I have a client who is really in tune and very connected and is very open and is also a seer, right, and a feeler, and knows about all the different dimensions and realms, I find that as soon as I start working on them, I just fly, I just go, and then I'm able to kind of like converse with them and express them. Okay, I'm in some kind of like weird like ninth dimension right now, and you know, I'm contracting, or I'm trying to collect your spirit from that dimension, but she's kind of like trapped in between that dimension and a different dimension, and it's in between realms, and you know, and then we're just able to kind of like go, and sometimes the client is like, I'm right there with you. I can see exactly what you're seeing. I can feel it, you know. Or they start astral projecting. I've had that happen a couple of times, which is like really cool as well. Mm-hmm.
Like they leave their body, and so are you like, oh wait, hold on, come back, or you're like, oh, that's fine because I'm like somewhere that doesn't pertain really that much to your body because we're like in the ninth dimension. How does that work for you?
It doesn't really matter that they leave their body. It's that they're able to relax so much into the session that they can just leave their body, which I think is cool. I mean, one guy did say, I went into a past life of his, which is really a parallel life, but I went into another lifetime of his to clear some trauma, and he actually astral projected real time into that lifetime, right? So he kind of astral projected, but also parallel jumped simultaneously into that lifetime to witness the trauma that was happening that I was clearing from him, right? That's cool. Like, that's not a conversation you can have with just anyone.
I get you though. Like, 100% makes sense. If I may, no, keep talking. Actually, I'm going to keep listening unless I'll say something afterwards.
Yeah, that's it, really. That's it. I was just like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a battle. And then he was astral projecting into the space. And then afterwards, he was like, I actually astral projected into that lifetime and saw exactly what you were doing. But he wasn't able to speak at the time because he was projecting. So, you know, I always really enjoy having sessions with people who have that ability, you know, or are that open, where we can just have, there's no holding back in the conversations that we have. But for the most part, I don't tell clients what I'm seeing or what I'm doing, because sometimes I just feel like there is the information can freak them out, or that they're not ready for the information, or the information can trigger them, or their belief system is not set up to receive the information, right? So I just
there's something to that, because when you really start working with energy, a lot of what we know as reality really turns itself on its head. And in the beginning stages, it does seem like very just pure imagination. Oh, doesn't that sound great? That sounds woo-woo. Maybe that's a possibility. But then when you actually start having tangible experiences, the more that you have a relationship with energy, as long as like people are present, like you're present and you're actively having that experience and you're having results, and your clients are able to actually say, hey, I'm there with you, you have more and more of those experiences where you're like, this is real. And your terminology and understanding, right, to a person who hasn't experienced it can't compute.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty magical.
It is pretty magical. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I like the fact that you know, you have so many, so you definitely utilize, I do healing work too, so I do Reiki, and I do like different forms of energy healing, and I have different techniques too, but I definitely don't go into people's past lives or Akashic records, and so it's really fascinating to hear about this. And there's been times where I've been working with a person's like physical body or different layers of their aura or their chakras, and then I just feel them leave, and I go, oh, I'm working on that. You know what I mean? You just left. I actually kind of need you back. And it's kind of a funny concept because you need them to be there with you somewhere, but it makes 100% sense. If you're in some other dimension, as long as you're with them or as long as you have a conscious connection to them, you're fine. You're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, as long as I have your permission to work on you, you know, we're good to go. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as there's that connection, good to go. There's some fun experiences through that. What, if I may ask you, what has been some experiences within your healing work, or, you know, your life with energy when you go, whoa, is that real? Or an experience where you and your client have both gone, wow, I felt that. I both felt that at the same time. Did you see that? Like, I love stories where you can kind of go, whoa.
It happens so frequently that
Yeah,
it's
I know. It really
so,
does.
it happens like every week. Do you know what I mean? Where I say something really specific and they're like, whoa. I experienced that in this lifetime, you know, and whoa, how did you know that? And yeah, oh God, it happens so often. From, what was something that was really specific that happened recently? Penicillin. Yeah. I was tuning into this lady's other lifetime, and I said to her, oh wow, you know, you were around when penicillin was just being invented, and you had like this allergic reaction. It's so weird, it's so random that it's, you know, penicillin. And she went white. She was like, how did you know that? I'm allergic to penicillin. Like, I can literally die. And yeah, you know, like these things happen.
There's just these certain words. Yeah, I hear what you're saying too. There's these moments, I think, that, like, you know, will rock us individually. Like, you know, sometimes like you can actually feel the room moving, or sometimes, you know, there's something unique with someone's energy field. Like, you know, every time you put your hand over a certain location, you just feel like something you never felt before, like whether it's electricity or a certain shape to the energy. It's just, I love hearing about experiences like this, or connections where you're like, ah, a word, penicillin, like, yes, you're connected to me. With Chinese energy healing, because you said that's the one that you utilize the most, do you connect to like the 5 element theory, or like do you work with the meridians a lot? How do you connect within that modality? Because there's so much to do with Chinese energy healing.
Yeah, Chinese energy healing actually is not about Chinese medicine.
Okay,
So
tell me. Yeah, I'd love to know.
It's not really about the meridians. It's not acupuncture. It doesn't follow the 5 elements, that kind of thing. But so what we do in Chinese energy healing is you there's a lot of muscle testing or energy testing, right? So muscle testing is using your fingers or using your arm, and energy testing is just feeling it in your solar plexus. Or some people can feel it in their heart, some people feel it in their faces, some people feel it in their stomach. It doesn't matter where you feel it, but you just, it's the energy testing is the internal version of the physical testing, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes,
Okay.
it does.
So energy testing is like muscle testing, but without using the fingers, but you feel it instead. And so there's a lot of energy testing, muscle testing, and basically when you tell me that you have an issue, I drop into energy field and I see, where is the weakness? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it emotional? Is it psychological? Is it psychic? Is it spiritual? And then under those categories, there's a whole drop down menu of stuff available for you to go dig out or search for, you know? But when you've been doing this for a really long time, you just start getting psychic hits, you know? You
Yes.
you kind of like just kind of spring off in all different directions, and some things feel like they're related and some things feel like that's totally random, you know? So essentially that's what I do. Just, where is the weakness? You may say that you have a headache, right? But then I may tune into your energy field and go, okay, the pain actually isn't your pain. It's coming from someone else's pain that you're picking up psychically, right? It could belong to a person, it could belong to a group of people, uh, it could belong to a whole country. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Origin points, absolutely. With Chinese energy healing, who created that modality? How did you find that modality? Is it something that you shaped yourself, or if people are interested in learning about that, what is the pathway
Yeah.
to that?
Originally, I learned it from a man called Dr. Cam Yuan, who is a 35th Grand Master in Shaolin martial arts. He originally called it the Yuan method, but he married into a family, where he learned it, and then he brought it to, I guess, the West. So I learned it from him. But then over the years of him teaching, he kind of like changed the name of it, and then I think one of the names was like Chinese energy healing, or so I was just like, okay, I'll just call it Chinese energy healing, you know.
And how many like how many levels, or is it just like a modality that you have to just practice and build, and you shape your own way? How was the teachings of that?
There were 3 levels when I learned, and this was 14, 15 years ago. 3 levels, and I had to take 3 levels 3 times, and then also intern in the workshops 3 times. But I feel like since then I've just taken the modality and I've expanded it, and it's grown branches, right? Because I don't know how you work, but when you work with any modality, you're supposed to come off the manual, right? You're supposed to just kind of like use the manual as a springboard and just go off in your own style and develop your own thing that works for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm always, I guess, stimulated by the philosophy of what a fundamental is, so I can know that, like, this is the energy or the languaging of NLP, and then this is the energy and the method of healing touch, right? So I like to know the distinction, but when I'm working within them, right, it's just like it's complete freedom. It's complete freedom, and you just go with what's ever needed. So yeah, like I'll always ask questions like, define this for me. In your studies, tell me, what was this to you?
Yeah. No, It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. It's interesting because some people they love to like go by the book, when they're learning, and some people don't like any restrictions and they don't like any limitation. They don't like any rules. You know, it's just interesting. Different strokes for different folks.
Sure, for sure. And do you experience that often too within the different people that you teach, like the variety of how they want to learn?
Yeah, so I find that when I'm teaching people who are very new at being a psychic medium, being a psychic, being a channeler, being a healer, whatever it is, they they are very careful and cautious about following the rules. They want to get everything right, and they don't want to miss any steps. And I find that the people who have been doing this for a while, they're just a bit more relaxed about the thing, you know. Um, People who've been doing this for a long time, I mean, they don't even really do the healing themselves. They'll get their guides to do the healing. They'll get their starseed guide to do the healing, and they'll get their spirit guide to do the healing, or whoever. You know,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I do you feel like your grandfather had very relaxed energy, being a master? Like he just let things, or how did his mind work, you think, with his mastery?
My grandfather, from my point of view, he was a really great man because he never shouted at us. My grandma was the screamer. He never raised his voice, and he had this ability to, when he spoke, people listened. And it wasn't because he was domineering. It wasn't because he was loud. It wasn't because he was scary or threatening, or you know he just had they would call it gravitas, right? He just naturally had that. When he spoke, we listened, and it wasn't out of fear. And so, in contrast to my grandma, bless her, who she didn't have an inside voice. She yelled a lot. She was raised in a village, and she was not educated. um, and she was the kind of woman who would spank and hit, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, but my granddad just had this way about him. He was humble, but yet he was confident, you know and he wasn't a loud person, but his energy was very penetrating. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Like, you knew he was in the room,
Yes.
and he didn't have to speak, but you knew he was in the room.
Very concentrated, aware, focused
Yeah.
with how he exerted himself, or his presence was.
Yeah, I would say his general energy, his aura, his focus, and he was never careless with his words. He was never flippant with his words. He was very intentional. Like, everything he did was very intentional, I would say. Yeah. And so all of us, all of the grandkids, we all respected him. We all listened to him. Yeah.
I think you're describing a person who has mastered their energy, and that's what we're all looking to do, like through our inner work, our learnings, to be in flow and be in mastery of our energy. And it sounds like your grandfather, just with his presence, like, and what you felt from him and how he lived his life, he was a beautiful example of
Yeah. He was a good role model. He was a good human role model.
that. We need them. We really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your some as a role model yourself, what are some of your favorite things to teach?
I wouldn't say I'm a role model.
I would say as a teacher, hey, I'm giving you credit. I think if you stepped up in an area in your life where you're teaching others, here, you can use energy like this. Here's my knowledge. Here's what I find, sacred. Here you go. I think that's a role model of extending energy. I really do.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. Well, sorry,
Convinced you.
questions.
You're cracking me up. So I was giving you a compliment. I want to reiterate that because sometimes we forget energies, but we gotta hold. I want you to hold on to this one. I feel with you being as a role model in your teachings, within that light, what are your favorite things to teach that you share with others? You have a school, the Alchemist Arts, the Alchemist Healing Arts School, forgive me. And what are your favorite things to teach in it? Whether it was something from the past, it's something you're working on now. I'd like to know about it.
Yeah. I like teaching Chinese energy healing. I like teaching psychic mediumship. I like teaching light language. I like teaching psychometry. I like teaching Akashic Records. I like teaching, I'd say all of it, really. I like teaching all of it. My favorite moments is when the student is totally blown away. They can't believe that they just spoke to someone's, grandmother who passed away for the first time, or they are so moved because they met their gatekeeper or their animal totem or their spirit guide or their guardian angel, and they're moved to tears, because they just feel so much love. So I would say those are the moments that I love when I'm teaching, is the student's response, how, when they're surprised, when they shock themselves. I think that's probably my favorite.
You see the ahas, you go, oh yeah, I want you to feel that. Something that I'm newer to that I think is really fascinating is light language. And I think when people experience light language, they go, oh, what is this, right? Can you explain what are the origins? Because I have no idea. What are the origins of light language, and how is it utilized?
Okay. So light language it just means that your soul originated from a different planet. So if you feel like very much like you're the black sheep of the family, or you feel like you're a starseed, you feel like you don't really fit into society, you don't really fit into your family, you don't like how they run this world, and it just feels too harsh, too cruel, and you feel like you don't quite belong anywhere, chances are you're a starseed, and that just means that your soul has originated from a different planet, different galaxy, and there are hundreds of thousands, if not infinite, races, right? Just like humans aren't the only species in this entire galaxy, right? So light language is spoken by starseeds, and it's just a higher vibration. It's a language that connects the soul, and it's a language that activates the DNA and your psychic centers. And you can use it to heal. You can use it to break spells. You can use it for an exorcism. You can use it to activate something, trigger something,
So it kind of like untangles and restores or amplifies?
Yes.
And is there a cadence to it, or do you just like go with whatever you're feeling?
Yeah, it's very much a feeling language. It's not logical. So you can't really understand it logically, So when I'm speaking light language, it's just really important, just feel it. You cannot translate it word for word. Like, like translating English and Cantonese. Is you don't translate it like that. You know, it's yeah, that's not. But when I speak the light language, as I'm speaking it, I have in the back of my mind this like intention, right? So maybe I'm speaking to the 8-year-old you who felt sad and lonely and abandoned and rejected and neglected. And I'm speaking the light language to your 8-year-old self to get her to release the sadness and the loneliness and the feeling abandoned. And then there's this thing that's intention that washes down in the back of my mind that says, in English, you're helping her to release this. You're just helping her to release this, release abandonment, release rejection, right? But it's very loose. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's the excuse me, it's the energy like telling you how to work, what's coming out of you, but you just go with the feeling and it's not an exact, it's just you go with it, right? Is that?
Yeah. So the English is like, this is the intention. Go. And it's almost like the light language is like you're just painting.
That's pretty. That's cool. I can only imagine like within a workshop, like just what naturally comes out for people in that.
It's fun because everyone has their own sound. It's really interesting because some people sound very guttural and some people sound very warrior-like and some people sound even sexy and some people sound like robots, you know.
Wow.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's fun.
Have you found that your light language sound has changed, or do you feel like it's been more similar than different?
I find that my language will change if I'm teaching light language with a group of people and let's say there are, I don't know, 20 people that I'm teaching. Every student has a different sound and a different pitch and a different dialect, right? That's unique to them. And so in order for me to communicate with that person, my light language will almost shapeshift into their light language, and I will communicate with them in a light language that sounds very similar to theirs. And I'll do that 20 different times. But then when I just go back to my light language and I'm just making a video, it tends to be the same, similar.
The same thing. That's really fascinating. I think I was just listening to right before the podcast a video that you made with light language, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I like it. I gotta ask you about it.
Yeah, I mean, sound healing, man. It's you know, it's a thing. You know, sound healing, sound waves, how sound affects water, and we are mostly made up of water. It's it's legit.
It is legit. Like, do you feel like that the body, I mean, I shouldn't say you feel, it's like it's what you do, but how do you program? I'm shifting the question as I say it, as you can see in here. Yeah. How do you, with all the knowledge you have too, because essentially it is, it's a language, it's an interaction, it's a conscious programming and a subconscious programming, but it's at the end of the day an agreement, you know. How do you work with your own programming with everything that you know? What adjustments have you made in your own life, or what tools and techniques do you use when you feel like your energy is in a slump, or when you feel like you need to heal something, or if you feel like you need to tend to your health?
Well, I get regular healing myself.
That's important to talk about. Yeah,
it's very important. Okay, so imagine deep cleaning your house, or deep cleaning your car, right? Or even deep cleaning your teeth. how long can it stay clean for? You know, it's like you need to clean your home every 2 weeks. Well, I clean my home every 2 weeks, right? And some people may clean their home twice a week. Some people may clean their home once a month or once every 6 months. I don't know. Some people don't clean, that's fine. But, you know, when you have a shower, right? How long do you stay clean for? You know, because life happens, yeah? So for me, it's very important for me to be worked on either every week or every other week. Very important for me to do that. Yeah.
Did it take you a long time? Do you feel like you were, you know, just in harmony and sync with finding the right healer for you? Like I how can I say that? I think it's a blessing when we find healers. We go, I'm so connected to this person. I believe in this person. Yeah, I'd like to hear how did you find your healer?
Okay. Me with healers is like me with food, is like me with traveling, is like me with everything else. I like to try out lots of different things. So that's probably why I have, you know, experienced different modalities, because I like to try out different things. If I like to go to different restaurants, I like to try out different foods, I like to go to different countries, I like to experience different things. It might be because I have a Sagittarius moon, I don't know, but I just, diversity is very important to me. You know, I like to meet different types of people. So for me, I approach healing the same way. I like to try out different things. Sometimes my clients, my students will be like, hey, you got to check out this person. They're really cool. And I'll be like, okay. I'm always like, okay, I'm up for it. I'll try them out. I'll, you know, have 3 or 5 sessions with them and see how I feel. And sometimes it's not like, oh, this person is amazing. It's just like, okay, that was different. That was cool. But to me, that's still valuable.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you have like an issue or illness or a disease or whatever it is, you might need to try like 10 different healers. And it's not as if the 10th healer healed you, right? They all had a go at clearing a layer for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And because every modality has its strengths and weaknesses, it could be that you needed 10 different modalities or 10 different healers to what am I trying to say? I don't want to say attack the issue, but what am I trying to say, Kelly?
I think while you're talking, I went off on a tangent in my brain. I was like, we put so much faith in, you know, one person or one thing being the one, right?
Yes.
But why can't, like a village, everyone comes together and helps?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone helps you in some way, in some small way, you know? I don't know why I'm going off on here, but it's like when you date, you know, it's like every relationship you can learn from. And then, yeah, some people are like, oh, I finally met the one, the one. But, you know, all these people, all your exes prepared you for this moment, for this relationship, right? And if you hadn't been prepped and gone through the lessons that you have gone through, then maybe you wouldn't be ready for this person, this relationship. So I'm just saying that for me, it's important to try out different people, different modalities, and see, oh, what did I like about that? Yeah, that's strong here, but it's not so strong there, and that's kind of like, you know, it's just to me, it's important to try out different things.
I do think so. And your love for variety and the way that you're describing things, you definitely have 5s in your charts with numerology. Definitely. Well, with Western numerology, at least, 5s have to be big in your life. It's a 5-day right now. And usually when people come on the show, it matches their energy. It's a double 5 today as well. So yeah, it's a double 5-2 today.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Cool. I'll take it.
And 2 is all about being a healer. Yeah, it really is. It's in the life path placement. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. Isn't it funny? Now my mind's doing it. It's all like, where were we? Right? Sometimes energy has a way of doing it. Do you have, I like to ask this of people too sometimes. Within your life, do you have certain practices? Like, for instance, I find a lot of healers or psychics and mediums, energy workers, they're very attracted to um, like taking more showers than average because water cleanses them, or the salts, or they have a certain diet that really helps balance their life. So what do you find, what foods balance you? I feel like every intuitive needs a different, prescription. I really do. But what do you find is your prescription that makes you feel really, um, you know, balanced and sharp and clear?
Okay. What helps me is
Personally.
I'll do like a salt smudge in my home, maybe once a month, once every 2 months. I really should do it like every week. Salt baths, pink Himalayan salts, Dead Sea salts, essential oils. Something that really helps me, which I've been lacking recently, is spending time in nature, especially trees. Like trees does it for me. For some people it's sand, it's the ocean, but for me it's like trees. They do it for me. The other thing is I play binaural beats all the time. Like my best friends will take the piss out of me, but that's what works for me. Do you know what I mean? Like I play binaural beats all the time. It's not hip, it's not cool, it's not trendy, but it helps. And then what else helps me? Spending time alone, really. Spending time alone and not being out all the time. That really helps me. Being very selective with who I spend my time with. So important. So important. What else? Yeah, salt baths, of course, showers, intention, journaling, meditating. My son calls me out on my shit every day.
That must be like fun and terrifying and all other kinds of emotions.
I actually get a kick out of it, to be honest with you.
That's awesome.
Maybe in the moment, if I'm like premenstrual, I'm like, I get a bit like pissed off, but then but only for like a second. Then after that, I'm like, oh, he's good. He's good. I actually really appreciate him calling me out because, no one else is going to. Might as well be him.
Do you think he's gonna go into a role of like leadership and teaching?
He is really into writing.
Hey.
Yeah,
nice.
He's really into writing. He was able to see spirits and orbs and as a baby, and he still does. He still can see, and I teach him what I know. I don't teach him anything that is where I have to explain a lot, because then he just gets bored and he kind of drifts off. But if I can explain something really simple to him, like really quickly, then he'll go, okay, got it. And yeah, to him, like healing is easy. Like he doesn't have, he's a crystal baby. He doesn't have the limitations and restrictions that my generation has. Like he wasn't. And also he has me as a mother who I talk about spirits like the weather. It's like no big deal. I still let him walk around naked. I don't shame him. I don't. What are you doing? Put your penis away or whatever it is. But I don't shame him. So he just has a lot of freedom with me, and he has a friend who he has a telepathic communication with, which is great. I don't know if he wants to be a healer though. He can do it very naturally, but I don't know if he does, because I don't think he wants to sit around listening to people's problems all day.
If he's really good at calling you out, though, that he needs to use his voice for a living for sure.
Oh, he's very good at that. He's very good at that. But he does it in a very nice way. I don't want to make out like he's not a terrible person. He's an amazing person.
I didn't feel that.
But he has this like really gentle, soft way of calling me out on my shit, you know. Yeah.
He must have a sense of humor too.
Yes.
Yes.
He needs to have a sense of humor with me, because you know, I can be a bit salty sometimes. I was just thinking this morning how, you know, a lot of people, my friends my age, we're a bit salty, but my younger friends, like I have friends who are like 10 years younger than me, the millennials, they're so sweet. They're so sweet. But my age group, we're a bit salty, you know.
That's fascinating. Sometimes I think the younger generations are a little salty. I think they're salty and sweet. They talk a lot of smack, so I'm like, wow, that's salty. It's like they're grizzled at, like, you know, 15, like they've seen it all, you know, and they embrace the darkness. They really do.
Yeah.
But right, like, since they welcome the darkness and they accept it and they don't shy away from it, it makes the potential for them to be even sweeter, because they can transcend it, you know.
Yeah.
I really do agree with that. That word salty was really on your mind from all those memes, yeah?
Yeah, I made a bunch of really salty memes.
You really did. I was like, oh, wow, that's a lot of salty memes. That's right.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have to offset all the good that I do every day, you know, you know, duality.
No, yeah. We're full faceted beings, right? Oh my gosh, the wheel turns every way. That's for sure. Something that you said that kind of grabbed my attention, and also Chris was talking about the importance of alone time, is awesome. Like with my energy as like a healer and an intuitive, and you being the same, I find that I very naturally will connect and like mirror people. You know, I can understand people and connect to their energy easily, but sometimes I go, wow, I am feeling like me, but then I'm like, I want to feel more like me. And so I have to have a lot of alone time, thus to feel like myself. And sometimes I have to have extreme alone time to feel like myself, because even if I'm doing something online, connecting with somebody, or even if I'm with somebody just for 30 minutes, I have to shake off their energy for a second if I want to go and do my own stuff. And sometimes it's as simple as cleaning my house, or, you know, the laundry, or going for a walk. Like, I'm off in other energies and I go, whoa. Like, why am I not leading my own energy? Why am I so strongly mirroring still myself always, but I'm so aware of their energy?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's because you're really good at holding space for people.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true.
And
Yeah.
so you become a container for people, right? And so, as with any containers, you get filled with their energy because you're holding space for them. And then when they're done and they're good, and then you part ways, you're still that container. You're still holding space for that person. Do you know what I mean?
I think you're exactly right on that. You know, it's like, I know I'm not them, but like it's contained in me somehow. I think that's exactly right. Do you feel that you have to shake off containing and holding space?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So in between sessions, I always use the restroom. I always wash my hands. I know pelvic specialists are like, don't use the restroom every hour, but I've kind of like gotten used to that. And I will wash myself with a white light waterfall, or I'll take a white cloud and I will just run that through my body, up and down, up and down, up and down. And sometimes if it's a really intense session and someone's been sobbing and crying and breaking down, I will just lay on my bed and just imagine lots of sand seeping out my body into the bed, into the ground, into the core of the earth to be transformed. And I just keep saying that. I just drain it out of my body, drain it out of my body, drain it out of my body. Yeah.
It's directing and siphoning the energy away from. I agree. I find that sometimes, we all forget certain things. Sometimes I'll forget, like, oh, I have to siphon some extra energy off of me. I really love do you love working with like white lightning at all? I like just talking about energy. I have this really strong love for white lightning with energy work. I feel like it's such a strong purifier.
Yes. Not everyone responds to it, so I play around. Sometimes I'll use like white lightning, sometimes I'll use a white waterfall, sometimes I'll use like when you throw a pebble into a pond, ripples. Yeah, sometimes I'll use ripples, sometimes I'll use like an ultraviolet cone. Like I'll just try different things to see what works. Different people respond differently. So
absolutely. I use a lot of like white and red when I'm trying to guide energy to go away. I use the energy of red, like the physicality of it, to help pull. And I'm like, hey, go this way, go this way. I have a lot of fun with how things feel and talking about color and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite color that you work with? We were talking about white a lot, yes, but do you have a color that you feel comes up a lot in sessions as well?
I tend to blast people with white light, and then I also blast them with chromium light, and I also use ultraviolet light as well.
Chromium, is that like silver tones or?
Yes.
Oh yes, silver. Yes, that's awesome. Yes. And do you use shapes at all as well? Are there any shapes that
I do, yeah. Sometimes I'll put people in a crystal egg. Sometimes I'll put them in a pyramid. And sometimes I'll use cubes. I'd say those are my main shapes. Yeah.
It's really fascinating to talk about like all these elements because, when you're in the healing, it's just a bunch of things just happening, right? But when you break it down, you're like, actually, there's a lot going on, and I do have my favorites. So, you're a psychic medium as well, and you can connect to the other side, and also with beings. Are there certain beings that you work with, whether it's ET or the angelic realm or the elementals? What do you really connect to on that level too, as well, within the healings? The most, who comes in the most for you or that you work with?
Yeah. Well, my guides are always there. Always. Yeah. Right. They're always giving me guidance during the sessions. And then sometimes if someone is in like really, really bad shape, I will call upon my starseed family, and I'll have them operate, like do a kind of spiritual operation on the person, because they have their equipment is like far more advanced than we'll ever get to on Earth. So yeah.
Lineages are really powerful. They really are. Whatever you have a relationship and you build from, those energies are really there. That consciousness is really there to assist you. It's amazing. You have like families of different spaces and times coming in to assist us. Honestly, it's great, guys. If you are interested in healing, I'm telling you, the sky is the limit, and it's not just because it's cool to witness. It feels so good. It feels so wonderful. What are you working on now within your work? So I'm going to transition to how people can come find you. Like, what is your website, your social media, and please tell people how they can connect with you and work with you with anything that you're working on currently.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're interested in private sessions, one-on-one, you can book online at ChineseEnergyHealing.com. If you're interested in workshops, you can go to alchemistartshealing.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Garz Chan, where I make salty memes, but I also give like tips and advice, and I'll post little free videos on healing and
She helps you weather the salty seas. Ahoy, matey.
yeah. Yeah. So
I always like to ask, as like a nod to the guest wisdom before we transition out. What is a wisdom that comes to you, whether a favorite one, one in the spur of the moment that you'd like to share with the audience?
Wisdom.
Parting word, something that you, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. The pressure, my God. Okay.
I know, sorry. Creates diamonds, though. It does.
Huh?
I said it creates diamonds, though it does.
Well, I'm just thinking about my granddad right now, and he always said, one generation plants trees so another can enjoy the shade. So I will just leave you with that. It's not my wisdom. This is my granddad's wisdom.
Grandfather coming really strong this hour. Thank you, grandfather. Thank you, Garz. It's been a pleasure. It's wonderful to see you. Really, it is. And thank you for sharing who you are as a healer and as a soul with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll see you again, but I want to say to everyone, please go with luck, love, light, and don't forget to live. Take care and see you next week. Thank you, Garz.
Thank you.